Have you ever thought about why we imagine aliens as being green? Funnily enough, there's this old strange story from the 12th century that might give us some clues. In a small village in England called Woolpit, locals found two kids with green skin. Nobody had any idea where they came from. Some thought they might be from another planet, while others whispered about them being from some hidden civilization. This mystery has had historians scratching their heads for centuries, but still, no one figured out from where they came into this world. In this video, we're going to dive deep and try to uncover that mystery. So if you love mysteries as much as we do, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join us to watch more videos about such mysteries and strange things. Now, getting back to the story, it all happened in the heart of Woolpit, a sleepy village in Suffolk, England. It was the 12th century when people witnessed an event that sent shockwaves through the quiet streets. Suddenly, two children emerged as if from the shadows. These weren't your typical village kids looking for mischief. Their attire was unlike anything the villagers had seen before, cloaked in unfamiliar fabrics. Their language? A symphony of strange sounds that left even the wisest elders scratching their heads. If that wasn't puzzling enough, these kids had a peculiar craving. They'd only munch on raw beans. But the real clincher? The detail that made everyone's spine tingle? Their skin had an uncanny, otherworldly green tint. It wasn't just a tale of lost children. It was a mystery wrapped in an enigma, waiting to be unraveled. What brought them to Woolpit? And where, in the vast tapestry of history, did they fit? Moving forward, the historic village of Woolpit was known primarily for its deep wolf-trapping pits. These pits, vast and shadowy, dug with the purpose of ensnaring the wild wolves that prowled the outskirts, were central to the village's identity, and the village was also named after it as Woolpit. So in one fateful day, these wolf-trapping pits became the backdrop for a mystery that still lingers in the air of Woolpit. From the chilling darkness of one such pit, these two children were emerged. Now these children's skin bore a hue of green, reminiscent of fresh spring leaves or the depths of a calm forest. It was the kind of sight that would halt anyone in their tracks. This discovery was made by a reaper whose routine day turned extraordinary in an instant. As he brought the children into the village, murmurs spread like wildfire, with villagers peeking from windows and gathering in groups, their eyes filled with a mix of concern and curiosity. In the midst of all the chatter and astonishment, Sir Richard de Calne, a man known to all and respected by all, took the children under his wing, providing them with a place of safety and warmth. As days turned into weeks and weeks into months, the children underwent a transformation. Their once vivid green tint began to recede, and their peculiar craving for beans expanded to include more familiar foods of the village. However, as the girl began to adjust, the boy faced a more challenging fate. He seemed to wilt as the days went on, his once bright eyes dimming with a sadness that couldn't be shaken off. Eventually, a shadowy illness embraced him, and he slipped away from the world, leaving behind a village still grappling with the mystery of their arrival. As the girl learned to speak the same language as the people in Woolpit, she began to share a magical story. The girl, with her shimmering eyes, spoke of a magical place she called St. Martin's Land. Imagine a land painted with every shade of green you've ever seen, from the soft green of baby leaves in the spring to the deep green of a forest in the summer. And the sky? It wasn't the bright blue of day or the dark blue of night, but a soft twilight, always. She said the boy, with the same greenish hue as her, was her little brother. Together, they had the most enchanting adventures in their homeland. But one day, something mysterious happened. In the first version of her tale, she spoke of a day just like any other. They were playfully chasing their father's cows across the meadows of St. Martin's Land. Suddenly, a strange, loud noise, like a gust of wind mixed with thunder, took them by surprise. Before they could even blink, they found themselves in Woolpit. Not in a meadow, but inside a deep pit meant for catching wolves. How did they travel so far and so fast? They didn't know. But she had another story too. She remembered how, on a curious day, they had followed their cows into a grand echoing cave. Inside, the path twisted and turned and they wandered deeper and deeper. Soon, they lost their way. The cave was dark and they felt alone. But then, from somewhere far away, they heard the gentle chimes of bells. Hopeful, they followed the sound, believing it would guide them back to their green homeland. But, surprise, when they emerged from the cave, blinking against the light, they weren't in St. Martin's Land, but in the heart of Woolpit. The villagers listened, captivated. Some whispered, trying to guess which story might be true. Others just lost themselves in the magic of it all. Both tales were filled with wonder, and they painted pictures in the minds of listeners, images of distant, dreamy places and thrilling adventures. Two men, Ralph of Cogshall and William of Newburgh, tried to write down the story of the Green Children. Neither of them had met the kids, but they heard about them from others. It's a bit like playing a game of telephone, where the message changes a bit with each person. So, even though some of the details in their stories were different, the heart of the tale was the same. Ralph, who lived nearby, often heard the story from Sir Richard de Calne, the kind man who took care of the Green Children. He was so fascinated that he wrote about it in a big book in 1189. William, a monk and someone who loved writing about history, also shared the story in his book a little later in 1220. He said he heard it from many people who could be trusted. But here's the thing. No one really knows if the story of the Green Children is just a fairy tale or something that really happened. It's a bit like those tales your grandparents might tell you where you wonder, did that really happen? If it was a true story, why were the children green? Well, some believe they might have eaten something not good for them, like how eating too much candy makes your tummy hurt. Others think they were just really, really hungry and that made their skin turn a funny color. The most interesting guess is that they might have been from a nearby village called Fornham St. Martin. Some say their parents might have been in a big battle there, and the children got lost. They wandered around, their tummies rumbling with hunger. Then they heard the distant sounds of bells from Woolpit and followed them, hoping to find food and friends. As time went by, the green girl, whose skin no longer held its peculiar hue, started to feel more at home in the English village. Just like a plant finding its roots in new soil, she grew and became a part of the community. The villagers loved and cared for her, teaching her their customs and ways. She was even baptized, which is a special ceremony that welcomed her into their community. And as she grew older, stories say she married a kind man from a town called King's Lynn. Some even whispered that her husband was close to King Henry II. But, as with all stories, different versions float around. Some said she took the name of Agnes Barr. Others told tales of her being a little mischievous and getting into harmless trouble. However, the exact details of her life remain a bit of a mystery, much like the rest of her story. just like a puzzle with a few missing pieces. The tale of the Green Children has gaps that make it even more enchanting. And that's the beauty of it. Sometimes, not knowing everything makes a story even more magical. It lets our imaginations run wild and dream up our own endings. And that's why the story of these green children, their mysterious green homeland, and their unexpected journey became a treasured tale in Woolpit, one that is still recited for many warm bedtime stories. And that wraps up today's video. We really hope you found it interesting and learned something new. Feel free to share your views about this story in the comments section below. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon if you haven't already, so you never miss out on our daily interesting videos. Thank you so much for tuning in, and best of luck with all your endeavors.